All right, so it's a new day of coding. We're going to try to multitask using AI to be as efficient as possible and get as much done as possible. I do see a few issues. In particular, I'm not a fan of this interface that is given for the editor and a few other things. So I gave it some stuff to work on. I thought there was a way to add subagents, but I don't see that, which is kind of interesting. So I'll just have it work on it one at a time, I guess. And I will go shower while it's working. Okay, so it failed to fix that. Let's go take a look at our table. Okay, so that looks a little different. What is this? Oh, a dragger. So that's too wide. Alright, I'm gonna give it a little hint, see if maybe that'll help it fix that. Right. What? This is still hideous. Okay, so still a few issues. Added more things. It is starting to get to the point where it's starting to repeat mistakes, which is a little concerning. I might have to start telling it stuff to basically like quit trying to make your own custom components. Let's try this though. All right, so it made its changes and I see a blank page. Let's see if it can fix it. All right, so it's trying to catch a runtime error, but there is no runtime error in the console. I can see it. So clearly it messed up when it just did that. So another thing I've been working on is trying to fix a library that I use called jurigged. It's a hot reloading library, and it has a tendency to have this issue where the line numbers, as it hot reloads, start to shift from what they really are. So then when you add stuff to the debugger, they don't show up on the right lines. And likewise, you eventually get to this state where changes don't get reflected, likely because of this, although it could be another issue. So I'm going to go ahead and tell it that I want to have my code space for heavy resume use this version that I cooked up, which actually I should probably show how I did that. So I have this pull request that's in draft form that uses code that I wrote, except I never really wrote any of it. It all was done using Codex in the phone. So I simply used the phone interface for Codex. I told it what I wanted. I looked at the code changes visually. So there's a bit of back and forth I had with it, especially when it came to like tests, because it'd be like, oh, I found an issue, and then it wrote a new test and changed the old one. So then the old one no longer reproduced the issue, and then the new one was very narrow and very unit testy, which means that it wasn't doing it at like a broad level and reproducing it. It was doing it at oh, I see how the implementation is. I'm going to recreate how I would do that through the implementation to demonstrate that it's wrong. And the problem with that, of course, is that it's a fragile test and not a good practice. So I had to fight with it to get it to put things back, which I'm not sure it even did that right. It turns out it thought 3 lines of code was the fix. So we'll see if that's truly the case, because I'm going to start using this. So now I'm going to ask Codex to update the dependencies for this project so that it uses my work in progress code, and I'll try it out and see if it is still an issue. All right, and then if we switch back to the heavy file format, let me see if it works now. Nope, still broken. So I can see that it's still showing a blank screen. It looks like it tried to change simply CSS. So it thinks everything's right other than the CSS, which is weird. I don't think so. And yeah, if we go into the page source, we can confirm it's just simply an app that's empty. So it feels like the kind of thing where it should have been able to go into the browser and see that for itself. I wonder if there's a way to get it to do that. Okay, so now it wants to install it for me. I guess that's fine. On heavy resume. Switching to heavy resume, it now wants to install it. So it must be trying to debug why that didn't work. So right now we're doing two things concurrently. So here I actually don't agree with what the AI is doing. I kind of want it to stop. If this is the correct syntax, I know how to install something. So I'm gonna have it stop, and I'm just gonna try to install it the proper way. So I can see that this is the issue, and it looks like there's a problem or glitch with poetry, which is the dependency thing we use for Python. When you switch from something that's official to something that's Git, which is exactly what I'm doing here. The solution is to just reinstall things. But I wonder if removing it from just removing it is probably the correct way to go about this. All right, so I manually just deleted the old version of jurigged, and that fixed it, except now we're getting a new issue, which is that one of my libraries depends on jurigged, a specific version, and the version that I have in GitHub for this fix doesn't align with that. So let's see if we can just have it basically force it in there, because I don't think it's a big deal. All right, so while that's working, we're back to working on the heavy file format. Let's see if it fixed it. I guess this is slightly better. So it wanted me to know what I saw. Again, I feel like, isn't there a way to have it work and see this? All right, so I came up with a command to do a force install. Back on heavy resume. And then it thinks it fixed it. So on the heavy file format, so let's see how that looks. Okay, so this looks better. So now you have the editor and the viewer separately. Good. We now have one example of everything, which is what we wanted. That looks better. This looks better. So I'm going to click on this. It's still doing this wrong. So hopefully this will help it understand better. See if it fixes these issues. It says there's new dependencies. I'm not sure why, but on the heavy resume side, trying to get this new jurigged installed. Okay. And it now thinks it's done. So let's see if it is. Well, it ran, so that's good. Let's see. So one issue that is not related to this change, but rather the branch I was working on, is that the AI changed some of the CSS in a way that it broke these. So let's see if we can revert it back. So we're creating a new chat because our old chat was not related to this. So rather than dig into it, I'm just going to have it look at the git changes and figure out why the buttons have changed. It could be that the CSS for the buttons weren't changed, but rather the way the buttons were rendered themselves did. So right now I have two things running concurrently, and I guess there would theoretically be an opportunity to do a third thing at this time. And then now it looks like it feels like it found the issue. So I don't want the just go through this thing where I'm breaking the prototype and that I'm working on and breaking the main code. So I'm just going to go and have it revert those changes and then update the prototype so it doesn't need them. And now we have our heavy file format updated, so let's check it out. All right. So these are still side by side, which is not how they present normally. Looks like when I change the component, it doesn't actually do anything though on the expandable. All right, so trying to get it to not have these weird text components that it's stuck in there. Also wanting to style those drop downs. Let's see here. So get rid of this. Show these components side by side because we have two grid columns. That's way too wide. All right, so got another batch of changes. Gonna go send it to it. And if we go back to the heavy resume changes, it. Oh wait. All right, so it says this is back to matching main. But oh yeah, it's fixed. I just had to move my cursor into it. Okay, cool. And here's the prototype I've been working on. So the idea behind it is that you kind of have this one test to rule them all as a developer using AI. And you have these two AI assistants working with you to basically go through randomly generated projects and essentially fix them up so you can then move on to the next level and see how far you can get. So it's a bit of a game, bit gamified, very experimental. And let's see, jump to just levels. There's a bit of things to figure out with it. So the main thing is this fixed? And I guess we'll see. Or rather, can I keep updating this and now not have to worry about like restarting the server because things broke too much? So it looks like when something's highlighted, it's not a good color. And the foreign quote component. Oh, it made these look a little nicer. I wonder if a better way of doing it would be to not have the drop down, but rather you always have the option of adding components because this is a component container. This is still wrong. What is it? Why is it struggling? I don't understand. It's still a add inner component. What? No. No, no, just make it reusable. Like, I'm starting to show it a little bit of my irritation. Rip out the stuff that's custom and just leave it as the reusable component pattern. All right, so in our interactive game, we have this problem where this is getting cut off and I can't see it. So let's go ahead and implement a minimum width to this and have it scroll if it can't fit that. So here's the instructions for it. I'm actually going to give it a new code window. Let's see if it finds anything. And check on our heavy file format. Okay, so we're back to the editor. More details. Oh, come on. Maybe I gotta refresh? Like, what is going on here? Okay, so we have our change, but it's not quite working yet. Oh, there we go. Okay, it didn't find any monkey patches, so maybe that was something with... I thought I had some, though. It's a tad wide. Another thing that's really obnoxious is that everything's just getting stacked into main.ts. I mean, this file is getting very big, and it really needs to like refactor it. So I wonder if it makes sense to like just tell the thing like almost like I'm starting from scratch again and be like, this is what it should be doing, and this is how you should be organizing it, because it's not making good judgment calls here. But I guess I'll just have it do this first. Alright, it thinks it fixed it again. It doesn't work. Of course it doesn't. What is going on here? And then add subsection does this. So that works. But I got rid of the plus thing. Why did I get rid of the plus thing? Alright, so I'm going to try a little different approach. I'm going to try to get it to re-show the aesthetic thing, the ghost cells, the ghost sections, and then I'll have it reorganize the code so it's very clear what it's trying to do, the way this should work. And then I'll try to get it to fix the more details. Alright, so let's get it to reorganize the code. Let's see how this does. It looks like it thought it meant copy output should be for everything and not individual items. right, so maybe this should have been a sign here. I wonder if they nerfed Codex, because I used to have a ton of credits, but here I can see it says it implemented on the game for Heavy Resume the copy button. So there it is, a literal copy as opposed to like that icon. It says amount of credits for the 5-hour period, and I can upgrade to Pro. So I do wonder if that might explain some of the issues. I wonder if is my other one still working? So I ran out while it's in the middle of working. So does that mean it's going to be stuck here forever, or is it going to finish its task? So it does look like it let me run over. So there's that at least. So despite using GPT 5.4 and Medium, just like I did on all my other videos, it would appear that I've run out of credits doing this multitasking. And I'm not even sure that it was even doing that much. I definitely let it run longer. So that is interesting. That's probably a change on OpenAI's part. I do have Anthropic that I could use as a sort of a fallback or alternative. And I intended to use it, so I might switch to that, but I did have something come up, and it is not going to be something that I can use AI with. So I'm going to actually switch to that. And it says my rate limits should come back in the next 5 hours. So again, AI was really helpful here. It allowed me to work on multiple projects simultaneously. I was able to make changes to a project using just my phone, which was not even feasible without AI. And I could rapidly prototype and fix bugs on the stuff that I was working on. So there were a few times where AI was counterproductive. For starters, it does start to stash everything into the same file, which makes it more inefficient for it, as well as for humans looking at the output. It does have a tendency to create harder to maintain code, so just the file is one of the things, but also as you ask it to make changes, it has a tendency to create more than you're asked for or do it in weird ways, and you have to go through and clean that up, and if you don't catch it, then it gets confusing later. Finally, it did get stuck in a point where it was in a loop and it just wasn't able to fix it without human intervention. In this case, I had to go through and help it better understand what it was doing, and it sort of helped to have it go and clean up its code to improve maintainability so that it would quit getting confused. All right, so is the future of AI multitasking? Well, for starters, I didn't actually like working on multiple projects at once. I found it a lot more mentally taxing, and I found myself doing a lot of rubber stamping. It seems like it's better if you're going to multitask to dedicate time to one thing that is more cognitively expensive, and then multitask with things that are not. So I'd say right now software development is a great job for anyone who's a stay-at-home parent. If you just pop in, check on things, occasionally need to steer it. And finally, even if you're not writing code, it still seems to merit at some point slowing down, really making sure you understand some things. You'll be surprised at times at how well the AI will solve a problem, and then look at its solution and realize it's like stupidly narrow and it needs a complete rethink.